Hi, okay, so the intention of this video is to just talk through some of my charcoal process. I'm about halfway with this piece because I'm obsessed with Dobermans and I just felt called to do this one for a while now. But charcoal has been one of my first artistic mediums. I started with watercolor, and the charcoal, I think, just spoke to me because it does have that dramatic contrast. And if anyone knows me, I'm a little bit dramatic and I love a good contrast. I think life teaches us a lot through contrasting elements, and charcoal has definitely taught me a lot through that as well, with the light and the shadows. So this part that I'm working on right now is her face, and even though the reference looks large because I can zoom in on my iPad, in reality on that little bitty portion of the paper it's super tiny and detailed. So it's important to keep your charcoal pencil as sharp as possible so you get that like really fine point to get into all those little details. And if you notice, my charcoal pencil looks a little wonky because I have that extender piece on it. It gets pretty stubby pretty quickly, so I like to pop it on there and it just extends the longevity of your supplies that way. And even though charcoals are really inexpensive typically, I do like to just extend the longevity, oh my goodness, the lifespan of my charcoal pencils as long as possible, just to save, because I do like to impulse buy with art supplies sometimes, so anything helps with that. In my other hand, I have my blending stump, or a Titillion, and it's in the pack that I got. I'll link everything in the description for all my favorite supplies. But the link that I'll put, it has like a combo pack of all these different sizes. So it's really nice. This one's super tiny, so I can get into all those details. And at first I was like, oh, it doesn't even make that much of a difference. But when you start doing the smaller pieces, it definitely makes a difference. Or vice versa, if I'm trying to do a large area of blending, I definitely appreciate the larger sizes just to be more efficient and save time. And that is my Tombow eraser that I was just using. It is teeny tiny. It's one of my favorite tools. It was probably one of the first ones I started using, actually. I had a really good artist I found on YouTube who did similar tutorials like this, and she recommended the best supplies that enhanced my charcoal game. I think it would be hard as a beginning artist to just be given a charcoal and eraser, even though I know a lot of the times they say, they start out with the basics. Obviously, you need the fundamentals, and they have you drawing, like basic shapes and practicing shading and stuff. I think especially the Tombow eraser really helped me in the beginning because, like I said, the kneaded eraser is for larger areas. I feel like you can mold it to kind of get into the teeny nooks and crannies of your drawings, but it is a lot more difficult, I feel like. So right now I'm taking my blending stump. I love to blend. You need a lot of patience for it though, low key. So it is good for just getting all those different tones in there. Like the mid-tones are probably the hardest with charcoal, in my opinion, because like when you're doing the darker charcoal, you can throw down, it's kind of like with tattooing. You can lay down all the ink and like pack it in there. Like the Doberman has a lot of really, really dark charcoal patches, obviously, because it's, a darker part of the image. And then it's easier. I have some bougie erasers too that are like electric, but it's easy to get the highlights and the whiter tones in there with the erasers, but the mid-tones sometimes are so tricky. So that's why I love my blending stumps. And like I said, the different sizes really help. And if you notice, I have my paintbrush in the shot too. The paintbrushes really help blend everything super smoothly. And now I'm taking my sanding paper, which is also important. Sometimes I forget to do this and then I'll start blending and I'm like, oh dear, because it will pick up a lot of the charcoal. The blending stumps are made out of paper, so the paper will pick up a lot of the charcoal if you are blending, especially darker parts of the image, obviously. So the sanding tool helps keep it clean and fresh if you're starting with a lighter area, for example, and you don't want to get all that dark charcoal blended in there. So definitely get some sandpaper if you can with your blending stumps. That'll help a lot. I just started doing that recently for some reason. I don't know why I wasn't doing that before. And my pencil sharpener, every artist knows you need a good pencil sharpener, like I said, to make it super, super sharp and pointy for those fine details. I'm doing her lips right now. So freaking hard. And I have my little teeny tiny blending stump. And okay, the lips, if you can see, a lot of people want to like outline because you think you know the lip shapes. You're like, oh, let me just outline. No. For lips, you need to do almost like I was saying with those midtones. I generally just blend. And like maybe I'll take my charcoal and in the middle, you know, like where the lips separate, like I'll throw in some dark charcoal to have that little teeny contrast. You can, you know, tell that they're different like parts of the lip or whatever. So yeah, that was probably one of my biggest lessons. And I have ADHD, so I know that's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching.